This week's trades, market movers, and technical levels that count, wrapped up with clarity and precision. This is Weekly Wrap Up with Verified Investing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Weekly Wrap Up. Of course, I'm Gareth Soloway on this Friday afternoon to go deep dive into the market action. And again, as always, folks, all charts, no BS here at Verified Investing. It's all about the probabilities. And today, we saw some really interesting action. So number one, the markets gapped sharply higher on the back of Amazon and Apple earnings, but they couldn't hold it. And they started to fall back down. Now, they did float up in the afternoon, which is very normal, right? Because early in the day, you have the institutions selling into that. We've seen this over and over again on these big gap up days. In the afternoon, we started to float back up. But there was something in the game plan this morning that I was looking to see where the S&P closed on the weekly chart, and we're going to take a look because it is fascinating. All right, let's dive right into the intraday chart on the S&P. This is your intraday. So we opened here, had a little sell-off, rallied back up. Then we had a pretty hard sell. We actually took out yesterday's lows before the afternoon float came in. But look at the selling here in the final couple minutes of the day. And I'm going to go to the weekly chart now, guys. And this is important. Here is your big parallel, your March 2020 COVID low, your bear market low, right, from 2022, your sell-off low from October 2023, and your liberation sell-off low in April 2025. Drag that parallel up to the bull market highs of 2021, and look at this. Early in the week, we were above this level. We are selling off and looking to close below it on the weekly chart. So no close above this level. If we sold off a little bit more into the end of the day, this would create a topping tail, an additional bear signal. But as of now, it is not. But nonetheless, a parallel that goes back 5+ years is a powerful force to deal with, all right? And we have to remember that. Remember, short-term trend lines give you short-term moves. Long-term parallels or long-term trend lines give you more major moves in a market, a stock, commodity, crypto, whatever it may be. And again, that's an important thing to recognize. So if we take a look at this, guys, remember, let's add in our other trend line as well. Take that low from October 2023, connect it through the pullback of August 2024, and right up, and look at where we are here, right there. And see how it connects right through that high, right through this low, low, and low. And lo and behold, look at the markets being rejected from breaking above that. And I think it's interesting here because this week was a big week. We had the Federal Reserve announcement, right? And was a more hawkish Jerome Powell. We had the President Xi and President Trump meeting, which really didn't have any meat and potatoes or teeth to it, right? There was no major deal done there. Then we had earnings, which some were good, some were bad. Meta was horrible. And Microsoft was okay, and a little bit of a sell-off. But then you had Amazon, which was really, really good. But overall, did the markets have that great of a week for all of these events? And the answer is no, it did not. And again, could this warning sign, the fact that the market is not able to get above this level into the end of the day on this weekly candle, that could signal trouble next week. And we're continuing to see minor selling into the end of the day. In fact, we just closed. The final numbers are in here for the day. And if we take a look here, guys, the S&P closed at 68.40. That's not quite a topping tail candle, according to my calculations, but just the mere fact that it's closing below this, that to me is significantly, it's significant enough to make me very concerned about next week. Now, one of the things I will say, I do expect the government shutdown to end either this weekend or early next week. That could give a small boost early, maybe Monday morning if it happens on Sunday. But I think, again, institutions are showing their hand here. They're dumping. Any gap up we get, we're seeing selling into it, right? And so that's telling me something here on the charts. All right, the NASDAQ 100, this trend line we've been following for quite a few days. It goes back to May of 2025. Again, the markets have not been able to get above this line. Most recently, we hit it right here. And then look, even with those Amazon and Apple earnings, we weren't able to push back up and even touch that level. Speaking of Apple, look at Apple here, guys. Apple today ended negative. Yep. Apple ended negative on the day. Incredible. If we go to your intraday chart, look at this, guys. So Apple yesterday on earnings spiked to $285 per share. Now, what's significant about $285 a share in the aftermarket yesterday? If you go to your daily chart, where is this parallel? Look at this parallel. I mean, I annotated it for you guys. Your COVID low, bear market low, and April liberation sell-off low. Parallel with your bull market highs and your pivot high here from December 2024. What price do you guys think right here? Right around 285, right? Right there. And that's the pre-market. That was the aftermarket highs. Today, it opened and sold off all day long. When you see candles like that, when you see a chart that gaps up and then sells pretty much all day, that's not a bullish sign. That's a bearish sign. It tells you that, again, institutional money is dumping into it. And we have to be aware of that. Listen, and it's not to say the markets can't fight to get a little bit higher or Apple fight to get a little bit higher, but when the big money starts dumping, I always just perk up and say, let's be aware of this. Let's continue to monitor it. Then when you couple that with an S&P chart like I just showed you, I say, okay, we literally could be on the verge of next week being the beginning of a sell-off here. And I actually think that there's basically a window here in November. So we're starting November, come next week. There's a window for a sell-off to occur. Once you get into December, fund managers that are underperforming the market, they're going to have to chase this market. And so I think if we don't get the sell-off in November, we probably don't get it in December until January. So this November month, to me, is pivotal for the markets if they are going to sell off. Amazon today, I mean, this is bad price. Listen, Amazon was still up 9.5%, but it literally closed at the lows of the day. That's not good. By the way, see this trend line? From your bull market high in 2021 to your bull market high of in January of 2025 before the Liberation Massacre here and the big drop there. And then look at where we hit after hours. See this? Yeah, that's the same white line that you guys were just seeing on the daily chart. It went right there. Amazing how it's so interesting because usually these levels will hit during market hours, but they didn't even have enough energy today to get to there during market hours. There was too much institutional selling going on in these plays. And again, that to me is essentially a warning sign here. But if we flip back to the daily chart, it opened around 250 market hours and it closed basically on the lows of the day here on Amazon. Still a great day on Amazon. I don't want to take anything away from that move, but it's just not strong price action. All right. Speaking of which, look at this. So we had a $5 trillion market cap this week, guys. And I think, you know, I've been in the markets for 26, it'll be 27 years in next March, right? Or thereabouts. I have seen a lot of crazy things in the markets. One thing I have seen is that major milestones in terms of the price of a stock, as well as the market cap, can denote major tops. We had our first $5 trillion market cap on NVIDIA. Okay, that was this week. And the same week, Apple hit $4 trillion in valuation for the first time. Those can be topping signals. Keep that in mind, folks, because again, that's what happened. And then look, NVIDIA closed negative on the day. Couldn't even hold the 5 trillion. We got a doji candle here, which is a small bearish sign. It's not as good as a topping tail or reversal engulfing candle, but it still is bearish. And then look at Meta. So Meta yesterday, massive drop. Look at today. Ended basically at the lows of the day and even lower than yesterday's close. That's not good, folks. To take out yesterday's low that had a big bounce off of it that easily, that is not a good sign. Closing below $650 per share on Meta. And then look at Microsoft. Microsoft, again, opened and just sold off today, coming right back in. I still have a target on Microsoft from this pivot high in July of 2024 at 468. I think we go there sooner than later. Wouldn't be surprising if in November we actually hit it. Now, one of the mega caps to do well today was Tesla. Tesla actually was up 3.74%. Good move there. It continues, though, just to chop sideways. Basically, you have your line in the sand. This reversal engulfing candle high, if we get above that, we should go back and make a new all-time high. We should at least test this high and probably pierce $500 a share. As long as it stays below, I'm a skeptic, even though I have to give credit to Tesla today. It had a very solid day, no doubt about that. All right. So again, lots to look at here. And by the way, in this morning's game plan, I went over one of these key metrics. And the metric here that spooked me, and listen, there's a lot of data that's spooking me these days. For instance, in the last 2 years, 75% of the upside in the S&P is only because of AI stocks. That's a little scary that it's so reliant on that group. The other data point that I saw in the last 24 hours that was shocking to me is that Cisco Systems was the king of the dot-com era. It was the Nvidia of its time. At its high, it made up 3.9% of the equivalent of GDP, of the US GDP. So again, 3.9% of value was the GDP, was 3.9% of GDP of the US. All right. So now let's flip this over to say, so in theory, the king of the castle in 2000 should be equal to king of the castle here. So the question is Nvidia at a 5 trillion market cap equal to just 3.9% of GDP of the US? Nope. 16%. That's what the valuation makes up. And by the way, if you package all the Magnificent Seven, you're talking about a massive amount, like 7 stocks basically equaling the GDP of the US. Actually, it's more than that, I believe. Crazy stats. I mean, some of these stats are shocking, absolutely shocking. All right, Bitcoin. Bitcoin caught a small bid today. It did go down 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. I don't care if it gets a bid today. The only thing I care about on this chart, and you guys know this if you've been following me, is this trend line here. We must confirm above it. Okay, we confirmed below it right here. We got back above it, but never confirmed. Therefore, I told you it was still bearish, and it went right back down. This is the one to beat. As long as we remain below this, I still think we're going down here. All right, so we're looking at 93 to 95,000 as a target, as long as we don't reconfirm above 113,000. Okay, so watch that. Gold today, small down day. I still think there's more downside in gold. Again, my levels, you guys can see, these are my target prices. I put percentages equal to what my estimation is the chance of them hitting. This one was the no-brainer. This one's a pretty good chance. This one's a little closer to 50-50, and then this one's a coin toss, whether we get down here. All right, so again, those are your levels. We did achieve our first target here. Now can gold dump out and get to second target at 38.95? Silver, small down day today. The only thing I care about on silver here, I mean, I just think it's remarkable. You have your 2008 low to your 2020 low, which was COVID, so financial crisis to COVID. Your bull market high for silver in 2011. That's exactly where we topped out. And now, again, everyone's asking me, okay, where do we start to nibble, or where would I start to nibble on silver? And the answer is right here. Right around 43, I would start to nibble. I wouldn't buy all, though, because I think if gold goes down to 35 to 3,600, I think silver could actually get as low as 39.50. That would be your kind of 50-50 coin toss level. This one, to me, is probably about 75% chance we get to around 43. This one, again, would be more 50-50. I would start to accumulate in this range on silver. Oil today, eking out a small gain. Again, potential inverse head and shoulders here, which is bullish, but it has not triggered yet. So just more of a watch and see. I would just recommend people be very aware that the best economic indicators, probably not the economic news from the US, which we're not even getting. But again, how much do we really trust those numbers? Watch copper and oil. Those are the best economic numbers you'll get, or at least in terms of how the economy's going. Both of those charts look weak to me. Oil's trading near its 52-week lows. That tells me there's trouble in the economy. We'll watch and see how things unfold here. Lastly, natural gas here, guys. Nat gas did break out. You can see the down-sloping trend line. We broke out here and confirmed. We retraced. We never got low enough for me to buy, so I am not long this. It is moving up right now, but I'm not chasing. I don't chase. I am disciplined as a technician. And again, there's missed trades every day. It's all about the trades that I ultimately get. Those are the ones I care about. So it comes to the end of this week. What a week, folks. Incredible week. So much data. Federal Reserve, tons of earnings. The President Xi and Trump meeting, all of this. We go into next week. Will the government reopen? Will we start getting economic data again? Let's watch and see. The one thing I know for sure is I will be here Monday at 9 a.m. to give you guys the My Trading game plan and every level and all the insights that I see. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now, go have a great Halloween with your kids if you have them. If not, go enjoy your weekend. I will see you next week. Have a good one. Take care.